All right, everyone, welcome to Real Talk Savannah. We have a great guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself. She is not from Savannah, Georgia, but we are going to talk all things real estate. I love to have this perspective of another female realtor, broker. She's from Alabama. I will let you tell who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm Lauren Harris and I work with ERA King over in North Alabama in Huntsville. I've been a broker I've been licensed for about 15 years. I've been a broker for the last five.
Awesome. Okay, what I'm going to go right into it. I wrote down questions for you. These are things that
That's
I
okay.
just want to get another perspective and just hear. So sorry about the beeping. I don't know how to turn that off. Okay, my question is, what trends are you seeing in real estate market right now that buyers and sellers should be paying attention to?
So the biggest trend is obviously with the economy, right?
Mhm.
We are kind of coming off of the tail end of the political year. We're kind of seeing some changes with that, regardless of what side of the fence you stand on. There are at least in my market, right? I'm not too prevalent in the market specific for Savannah,
I
but
think there's a lot of similarities all
yeah,
over. But yes, I wanted, and which is why I wanted to have you on, just a
yeah.
comparison.
I think that right now what we're seeing in our market specifically is builders are kind of running the gambit, right?
Yeah.
Sellers are scared to sell right now because they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to spend the equity in my home to buy something um, bigger or that fits my new lifestyle, which is more expensive, plus the higher interest
Mhm.
rate." So you have sellers that are in a holding pattern. You have buyers that are nervous to purchase because of interest rates or the buying power that they might have as far as like, okay, well, this home was 300, now it's 350. This home was 400, now it's
Mhm.
550 because there was upgrades done to it. Whatever the case may be. We're seeing builders run the gambit in our area. They're
Yeah. Okay.
holding the inventory, they're holding the cards. However, the trajectory, is showing that there is a potential. Now, we as real estate agents know we do not have a crystal ball and we cannot speak on crystal ball methods. However, the discussion with the feds and with political stances
Mhm.
of dropping interest rates is going to cause a massive flood into the market. However, what I've been in it long enough to know, and I follow numbers really closely,
Mhm.
the trajectory doesn't think I don't think we're going to go into a full-blown buyer's market where it's going to flood. I think what's going to happen, you're going to have enough inventory coming in the market because people are scared to sell, and you're going to have enough buyers coming into the market that have now been wanting to purchase. I think it's going to level itself out. I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to see a 2020 to 2022 situation of 50 to 80,000 over asking, removing all contingencies. I don't think we're going to be in that place.
Because
And
the point of the feds coming in was to level it back out because it
yeah,
did get out of hand.
it really did.
Mhm.
And, I also don't think that we're going to be in a position of 2013, 2014, where we were post, recession, where people were giving away their life savings just to sell their house. And
Yeah.
so I feel like it's going to be this very nice, even keel where everybody can kind of afford something that's reasonable. You shouldn't be living outside your means anyways. And if you have clients that are really trying to say, okay, hey, I'm 300 to 350, but I'd really like to stay closer to 300, do yourself a service. It's going to build your business faster and longer. Keep them as close to 300 as you can to get them what they're going to want.
Yes, I agree with you. Do a I do not enjoy doing residential. I did do residential during 2020 because the commercial market was down. My business was shut down. So I did. I worked alongside a really established residential agent broker so that I did a lot of duo deals
Hmm.
because I wanted to serve my client well, and I had, it was the market was crazy during 2020.
Right.
But I'm big in the commercial world, so really wanted to get in your perspective on that to bring to the Real Talk Savannah podcast, because it's good to get another market, because it seems like it's very similar here. We do not have a lot of inventory specifically in the area where the brokerage that I work for. We do all Savannah, all of Savannah and surrounding.
Yeah.
But there are cities outside of here that the builders, it's exactly the same story. So I love that you said that, because we're, so far away from each other, but it's
About
still,
four and a half, 5 hours, I think.
yeah,
No, I
so
guess because
different
Atlanta's at
market,
four.
different
So
state. Yeah. Yeah. So, the interest rates typically impact the buyer behavior for sure.
yeah.
I do feel like it's very much a buyer's market right now, specifically for us here. It seems like how homes are sitting a lot. Like their homes are sitting, and the two. I have two friends that sold their houses, and they had the same story. Like, they had it listed. based on the comps, and they both had to come down over $100,000. Both.
Yeah, what we're seeing in our market with the absorption rate is we haven't hit. So historically speaking, if you have an absorption rate of less than 4 months, you're in a seller's market. Over 4 months, you're in a buyer's market. That 3 to 4 month window, you're right at an even keel market. We're seeing that
Gotcha.
we're around that even keeled market.
Oh,
Our
good.
average DOM is probably pushing anywhere from 90 to 180 days. Now, you do have homes.
Now, is it for a certain price range? Because these 2 homes specifically were over the 700,000, which
Yeah,
is already difficult with Savannah and the income that we have here.
yes.
So even though the comps are there, the buyer just might not be there because it's above the buyer price range here too. So
So
I
we're
did
kind of
add that.
opposite, which is crazy right now. So our market's probably similar. Our current average sales price in residential is around 360. And so anything in that 360 range is going to be considered average, right up to about that 415, right?
Mhm.
Anything below like 350, you're probably going to be competing a little bit higher.
Yeah,
Anything below 3, you're really going to be inside of like investors are probably going to start looking at it as well. So you've kind of got this mix of like fight,
exactly.
if you
It's
will.
similar. Yeah,
But
it's similar here for sure.
but when you go over the 600 threshold in our market, it actually goes fast.
Wow.
So
It's
we
not like
had a lot of influx that happened in 2020 all the way through still to today. We have a lot of growth happening in our city between FBI, AdTran, Boeing, new space programs coming in because we're the Rocket City. So we do have the U.S.
right.
Marshall Space Center right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and so we kind of have all of these people that influxed in, and they've probably been renting or they've been sitting in military housing or whatever, waiting on that property that actually suits their needs as far as large families or
Mhm.
luxury lifestyle, whatever it may be. Because these are implants from Virginia, from Washington, from California, like these big, big,
Yeah,
big
so
cities.
we did get a lot of people moving here. I
Hmm.
I just think there was a rush of that, and it's still happening, but it's slowed down a lot.
Oh, it's definitely slowed for sure.
But and we it was going quickly, but now it's just, and it also depends on the pocket of town. Like the historical district, the downtown district, Ardsley, like these
Yeah.
whole homes are more desired. Like people want to live here. The and then we've got like the island, which kind of trickles away because some people they don't want the flood zone, they don't want that, they don't want
Right.
the marsh. So also depends on, but we, I would think that we would have, I would have thought that our economy, like our real estate market, would be just like that, where because we've got Gulfstream, we've got the ports, they expanded the ports,
Yep.
we've got a lot of stuff happening here, but some of these spots are just like in that weird price range and place where that particular, it doesn't move.
So statistically speaking, if you look at who's actually your new home buyers, right? So if you go back about 4 years ago, you really didn't see anything below what we'll call an elder
Mhm,
millennial, right? As
mhm.
buying first time homes. And then I would say about 3 years ago, I actually spoke on this in Vegas. About 3 years ago, your was it Gen Z is below millennial, right? So your
Mhm,
Gen Zs were coming into the market. So
mhm.
3 years ago, they came into the market and they capitalized on 2% of the market as first time home buyers or the buyers that were making up the total buyer category. A year ago, they were at 4%. So 2 years ago to 1 year ago at 4, they're doubling. Now, that's a very small percentage, but if you think about the percentage of how they're coming into the market, they're doubling year over year. This year's trajectory, they're looking at closer to 6%, so not fully doubling from 4 to 8, but it is still, again, they're growing. They're coming into that market. And these kids are coming, I say kids just because that's what they are, but these buyers are coming into the market with a little bit more sustained income. They're staying at home a little bit longer. They're not leaving home till 25, 26. They've kind of saved up. They've done all the due diligence. They've got some really good jobs. Cost of living in Huntsville, it is expensive, but our income versus cost of living is still a little off scale. You get a lot more income than your cost of living cost ultimately is. So Huntsville's done a really great job of catering to this younger dynamic.
Oh,
So
I
what
love
I would say is like your young boomers, so like your late 40ers, right?
that.
So like
Mhm.
your 45 to 49s, right? Probably
Right.
all the way down to your Gen Zs, your 21s to 25s. Okay.
Mhm.
And so we've got these pockets of inclusive areas, right? So we've got what's considered to be your work, play, live areas.
Mhm.
And so we've got the Trash Panda Stadium, which is our baseball stadium. But around that, you've got hip food, hip things that are like the
Yeah.
young, but then at the same time, you've got older things right next to it as well. So you got a little bit more upscale restaurants,
Mhm.
things like that, some more upscale atmosphere, not club.
Commercial real estate always goes in with property value too.
Yes,
That's why it's always good to get to know, to schmooze up with your commercial realtors and with your investors.
absolutely.
You need to know what's coming to an area because someone could be purchasing a house there and you have no idea of, of a development, a commercial development that's going to, raise the value of that property and
Exactly.
a more enjoyable place to live. Things like that happen, all the time.
And
That's
we're seeing
that
a massive influx in townhouses too. So we
I
actually
wish we did. We
well,
just don't have any of it. We do on the outskirts, like Pooler's
yeah,
booming, and it's now expanding to Bryan County and these county and Effingham County and these counties around it. The real estate is booming. We've now got the Hyundai factory.
yeah, mhm,
So the same thing's happening. It's just everyone wanted to be, right around
the
Savannah, and
metro, yeah.
now it's expanding, and it's so quick. So there's no reason. I went to high school, so it sounds very similar, and
Yeah.
but a little more spread apart here.
So we also have our subsidiaries, right? We also have like our little pockets out there.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've come in, I say they as the city or developers, right? They've came in and they've taken some ran down spaces. We specifically have this one area. It's an extension of downtown and it actually was government housing. It was Section 8. It
Mhm.
was all this. It was very ran down. It's kind of was known as like Meth Ed Alley, right? Just to be
Yep.
honest
Every city has it.
and is this art district. And
Mhm.
they turned this mill into a full blown warehoused art district where
Very
there's little
cool.
like it's like maybe the size of this hotel room I'm in, right? Like, and that's somebody's shop, and you've got hundreds of them on three
That's
stories.
amazing. Yeah,
Now, around
I
that,
totally love it when someone comes in and is creative and does something like
yeah.
that, and it just changes an area. I love that.
And then people came in, developers came in and they tore down the shacks and they tore down these like 87-year-old houses, right? And now they're building half million to $1 million houses right next door. But it's like once that gets finished, that whole area, and it's almost there. We're almost there. It's almost
Yeah,
finished. And then right around from that, they're building the townhouses. So you've got the $1 million houses, which are probably your upper 40s
yeah.
clientele, right? And then you've got the townhouses that are probably ranging
More home for
350
the
to
younger.
500, and that's kind of like that younger clientele, but it's right off of like the interstates and all the roadways and stuff. So
My one of the I'm again I don't do a lot of residential, but one of my passions is because I bartended, buying a house seems so far fetched. So I've been getting lenders on the podcast to help a bartender navigate a purchase because it's possible. And what I'm finding is every bank has some plan that they'll sit down and work out the plan of action. They don't just say nope, bye, not yet, you can't do it, you bartend. They come up with a plan of action for their income and having more of their income on paper and get it coming up with, and it's not like a year's plan. It's usually like a 6-month year top plan. And then those people have something like the townhouses in your area that they can purchase. For us, it's more of the outskirts, Wilmington Island even. There's different things that are popping up that are in that price range for them. Not a lot right
right.
now for that are off the top of my head, but I could be wrong because I'm not in the residential world. There could be something very cool
Yeah.
in the works in Savannah, so we'll look into it. But I think like this podcast could spark a conversation with me with someone with that. Again, because my passion is real. I love new business owners, which
Yeah.
makes sense.
I do
So
commercial leases. I
yeah,
haven't done any
that's my
development stuff yet.
favorite because not a lot of people enjoy commercial leases. They take a long time to get paid on and the process is long, but I love being an entrepreneur and I love negotiating a lease. I just negotiated my own for a new space and I did a damn
Yeah.
good job.
Same.
Um, and I thought that my knowledge was going to be held against me because I've worked with these owners with other clients before. I also live in the building. So I was like, they're going to find me as a conflict of interest, but they didn't.
Oh, good.
I thought it was going to work against me, but it honestly did not. So, well,
Good.
I have really enjoyed having you on the podcast for both. um,
Yeah.
she was on both podcasts, just so you know, real talk. But yeah, I mean, your words mean a lot. They hold a lot of value. I'd love to have you on again. And if you're ever visiting Savannah, we'd love to have you on in person, Miss Traveler.
Yeah. Like I was telling Mary, it was a last minute thing. I went to have beer and pizza with my friends, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to London next week. You want to come? We can pay for your ticket." I was like, "Say
Duh.
less, I'm there."
That's why, but you know what? That's and we would be friends. Like you've got to come to Savannah. But
Yeah,
I was asked to go to Mexico by my girlfriend for her 40th, and her husband was like, "I'm treating her friends," and I was like, "Okay." So same thing. Normally I wouldn't leave the country so close together just with the business. Like I'm moving. I have a lot going on, but I'm like
yeah,
I always have a lot going on. I'm going. Like
yeah.
that's good business advice too. Just go. Just do it. You only have
But
one
see,
life, and
here's
everything's gonna be okay.
to all my real estate people and to all of the beat tan people, leave, go on
Go
vacation.
on
You
vacation.
become, you get so many more. Do you know I have gotten 3 offers on some properties while I've been here. I've picked up 1 listing while I've been here, and I've only got
You
here
can do it from
today's
afar.
Tuesday. Yeah, I did it on Saturday. So
We always figure it out. You're not going to lose anything by leaving. In fact, I think that people enjoy hearing about people try. I mean, I've never minded when other people travel. I'm not like, oh, I'm not working with them. They travel. That's silly.
no.
So yeah, I agree with that completely. Well, let's keep in touch and definitely get you back on. I will send you the episodes and stuff, but I'm so
Yeah.
let people know where to find you. You know what social media handles you want followed, and we'll also put them in the show notes.
Yeah, so on Instagram, if you want to get day-to-day updates of like small business stuff and motivational things, follow me on Talk to Lauren. Anything real estate related on all platforms will be sold by Lauren Harris.
Got it. All right. Well, you guys follow her. Her social media is fun. It's very her, and it's it's good. It's good. It's
Yeah,
good stuff. It's good content. You'll wanna follow her and see what she's up to. So, thank you so much for coming
of
on.
course. Bye, guys.